Good morning, evening, or night, wherever you are. Welcome to WAM Today. Take a deep breath, clear your mind, and let's drift through the whispers of today's world, one quiet thought at a time. As we wrap up Sunday, 27th April 2025, let's see what stories are unfolding around us. China's military is developing an AI system similar to ChatGPT for robotics to control humanoid robots on the battlefield. The People's Liberation Army Air Force, PLAF, is increasing joint exercises with foreign air forces to improve combat readiness. A deal between Seoul and Cairo for local manufacturing of the FEA-50 may mean China's J-10 fighter jet lost out to South Korea's FA-50 in a deal with Egypt. There are concerns regarding the U.S. military's reliance on Chinese rare earth minerals, with over 78% of weapons systems dependent on them. China's advancements in space technology also pose a challenge to the U.S. The Australian Navy discovered that its newest vessels were manufactured in China. China's Shandong aircraft carrier and the U.S. Navy's USS Nimitz were both deployed in the Philippine Sea. China's role within the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, AEO, one of China's neighbors, may acquire US F-16 Fighting Falcons. Turning to the United States, the Air Force is conducting B-1B bomber training exercises near China. The U.S. Navy's USS Nimitz aircraft carrier was deployed to the Philippine Sea alongside China's Shandong carrier. A report highlights the U.S. military's dependence on Chinese rare earth minerals, revealing that over 78% of U.S. weapon systems rely on these resources. The U.S. risks losing its leading position in space technology as China advances. One of China's neighbors may acquire US F-16 Fighting Falcons. Australia is enhancing its defense posture with potential increases in military spending. The country is contemplating raising its defense budget to 3% of GDP. They are also evaluating strategies to diversify military assets beyond submarines, possibly affecting the AUKUS agreement. Australia is investing in advanced materials for military use in challenging conditions. The nation is set to receive MQ-4C Triton drones from Northrop Grumman. On Anzac Day, Pacific Air Forces leaders paid tribute to Australian and New Zealand veterans. More recently, Australia passed on command to Egypt. Turning to the United States, the Trump administration is reviewing its financial contributions to global bodies like the IMF and the World Bank. Concerns have been raised about the distribution of benefits. The U.S. is advising allies, including Australia, to avoid using Chinese satellite services. The State Department is providing guidance on SpaceX's Starlink to offer allies alternatives to Chinese satellite systems. Ukraine is facing renewed pressure from Donald Trump to consider a pro-Russian deal, a move that analysts suggest could still be averted if Trump alters his stance on ceasefire negotiations. Russia persists in its assault on Ukrainian urban centers, with the Kremlin cautioning that achieving a peaceful resolution will be a protracted process. An overnight Russian strike targeted Kyiv, but Ukraine's Air Force successfully countered the attack. Despite calls for military intervention, some experts maintain that deploying troops to Ukraine is not the optimal strategy for deterring Russian aggression. The Russian Tu-160 White Swan bomber, though aging, remains a potent missile threat. NATO finds itself at its highest state of readiness in response to a recent Russian offensive. The United Kingdom, as part of its NATO commitment, saw British Typhoon fighter jets intercept a Russian Il-20 spy plane near NATO airspace over the Baltic Sea. Indonesia is now the focus of concern, as the Prime Minister has publicly dismissed Russia's attempts to strengthen military relations with the nation as mere propaganda. Ukraine is facing continued pressure from the White House amidst ongoing conflict. Even with the support of the Coalition of the Willing, the nation's future remains uncertain due to a lack of clear peace strategies. Military assistance continues, with the UK and New Zealand jointly providing drone support to bolster Ukrainian forces. Despite other forms of aid, the UK is considering declining to deploy peacekeepers to Ukraine. Turning to the United Kingdom, a recent military simulation revealed vulnerabilities to a hypothetical Russian missile strike, raising concerns within defense circles. Simultaneously, the Royal Air Force intercepted Russian aircraft operating over the Baltic Sea, demonstrating ongoing vigilance in the region. Further demonstrating commitment to allies, the UK, in conjunction with New Zealand, is supplying drone technology to Ukraine. Rocket Lab has also secured substantial contracts to support hypersonic programs in both the US and the UK. The UK Carrier Strike Group has initiated HIMAST, an 8-month deployment focused on maritime security. Mirroring its stance on ground troops, the UK is weighing against sending peacekeepers to Ukraine. Germany faces a challenging economic landscape, with forecasts suggesting stagnant growth in 2025, exacerbated by projected tariffs. The country notably stood alone among G7 nations in experiencing zero growth over the past 2 years. Germany is also considering the discontinuation of 1 and 2 cent euro coins, aligning with trends observed in other European nations. Shifting to defense, Germany has put a halt to the sale of 40 Eurofighter jets to Turkey's Air Force. Adding to geopolitical intrigue, speculation suggests a possible collaborative effort between the United States and Russia to repair the Nord Stream gas pipelines, prompting questions about Germany potentially restarting gas imports from Russia. The Korean Peninsula is witnessing escalating tensions as the U.S. Air Force increases its F-16 deployment at Osan Air Base in South Korea by 155%. These deployments occur amidst ongoing U.S.-South Korea joint military exercises. North Korea has strongly condemned these military activities, viewing them as provocative. In response, North Korea is enhancing its naval power, developing a new nuclear-capable Chohae-class guided missile destroyer. North Korea also criticized the United States for deploying B-1B strategic bombers to Japan, considering it a provocative act. New Zealand is currently focused on maritime security, actively monitoring for illegal ship-to-ship transfers. The nation is also extending military support to Ukraine through late 2026, continuing its commitment to training Ukrainian soldiers and providing other vital assistance. Furthermore, New Zealand is home to refugee twins who are now proudly serving the nation. The Philippines is set to modernize its air force with the purchase of 20 F-16 Block 70 fighter jets. The U.S. State Department approved the sale. This acquisition occurs amid heightened maritime activity. The Chinese Navy deployed its aircraft carrier, Shandong, to monitor U.S. armed forces exercises in the Philippines. Israel is grappling with a significant security breach involving leaked classified Air Force data, allegedly detailing potential strike plans against Iranian locations. Simultaneously, tensions are escalating as Moroccan dock workers are actively blocking the delivery of essential components destined for Israeli F-35 fighter jets. On the home front, Israel's national security minister has controversially vowed to bomb food storage facilities. This announcement coincides with the grim milestone of the 50th day of the blockade of Gaza, further intensifying the already dire humanitarian crisis facing the region. Tensions are high as India and Pakistan navigate escalating friction. While in a separate development, Indian Prime Minister Modi's recent visit to Jeddah has solidified Saudi-India relations, with enhanced defense cooperation as a key outcome, including his aircraft being escorted by Royal Saudi Air Force 15s in Saudi airspace. Meanwhile, Chinese J-10 fighter jets conducted a flyover of a U.S. Navy port in Saudi Arabia, signaling evolving geopolitical dynamics in the region. The United States is reinforcing its presence in the Indo-Pacific by deploying additional F-35EA stealth fighters to Japan. Vietnam has finalized an agreement to acquire U.S. F-16 fighters, bolstering its air defense capabilities. In a first, the U.S. Army conducted a nuclear response drill in South Korea, demonstrating multinational cooperation. American, Singaporean, and Thai aircraft participated in an Elephant Walk exercise. The Chief of Army of the Royal Thai Army recently completed an introductory visit to Singapore, strengthening military ties. Indonesia requires a two-track approach to address its foreign fighter problem related to al-Qaeda affiliates. Azerbaijan and Kazakhstan are deepening their military partnership through joint training exercises, intelligence sharing, and coordinated operations. Poland's acquisition of new KSS-3 submarines poses a potential challenge to Russia's naval dominance in the Baltic Sea. Shifting focus to the Middle East, Egypt has conducted its first joint military exercises with China, highlighting a growing relationship between the two countries. Ethiopia and Morocco are working towards a stronger military partnership. The upcoming African Lion 2025 exercise in Tunisia is poised to be the largest military exercise ever held in Africa. South Korea's Kai is actively marketing its KF-21 fighter jet to the United Arab Emirates Air Force, presenting it as an alternative to the US-made F-35, even as the UAE has already signed a KF-21 Boramae fighter cooperation deal with South Korea. Experts suggest that inaction might be the best policy with Iran, drawing on lessons learned from the failed Iran hostage rescue 45 years ago. Haiti could descend into chaos without increased international intervention, according to a dire warning from a UN envoy. Turning to Europe, Italy has accused the United Kingdom of withholding critical technologies essential for the development of the next generation GCAP fighter. Portugal is evaluating the F-35 and Gripen as potential replacements for its aging F-16 fighter fleet. Saab is actively pursuing contracts for its Gripen E/F fighter jets with both Thailand and Colombia, with the aim of finalizing agreements by 2025. France's Rafale fighters project power forward to Sweden. Greece is committed to increasing defense spending and pursuing ambitious geopolitical objectives. Across the Atlantic, in the Americas, Donald Trump is expected to attend the Pope's funeral, marking his first international trip of his new term. Argentina's Libertarian President Javier Milei has reached 500 days in office, during which he has implemented a radical pro-market agenda that is being closely watched and evaluated globally. The United States has approved the sale of F-16 fighters to the Philippines, enhancing the country's defense capabilities. And that's a wrap for today's news, because even headlines need a nap. Stay curious, stay kind, and let the noise fade as you find your quiet. Take care, stay awesome, and I'll see you next time on Wham Today.